This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
LeBron has so much, he could do so right here by saying that he was vaccinated, by promoting the vaccine. Like over here in New York, it's sad because we have to use incentives like the chance at free Nets tickets.
Nick Morganson, we're not taking LeBron off the court. We're not going to take the Lakers down to a weak strength because then we lose on our bottom line. And Nick Federa.
The argument that this is the way that things have always been done has been used to excuse a lot of terrible behavior, especially in life and in Major League Baseball.
Empty the Bench starts now.
You don't have to sit there sucking on a hose of your own farts.
We are live, episode number 87 of Empty the Bench.
Fart hoses.
And banned. We're Nick Federa, Nick Morganson, I'm Tom Albano. Another episode of Empty the Bench as usual. And gentlemen, we have had quite the tumultuous week in the sports world.
Yes,
we have had highs, we have had lows, and it's just been an absolute roller coaster.
We've had highs, we've had lows, and we've had fart hosers. So basically, we'll leave it at that. That's the barometer.
And some middles too.
Some middles. Yeah, but you know what? It's been a roller coaster ride, which kind of describes my week in terms of social media. But that's neither here or there for this broadcast. Let's get right into it. Let's see. We had a good number of choices for our numbers of top story of the week, but we have elected to go with this.
So you are not experiencing deja vu right now. Mickey Callaway is still still in the news, I should say, because, and context is necessary, the MLB has banned him through 2022 because of the sexual misconduct, harassment, abuse, whichever you want to call it. It's still bad, although they termed it as violating MLB policies, and he's subsequently been fired by the Los Angeles Angels, where he was working as a pitching coach under Joe Madden.
Oh, well, where do I want to start? Gee, that the Athletic got this story about 7-8 months ago and was all over it, or that Rob Manfred wants to say I like a pirate because he believes that he made the decision for everything and not Major League Baseball. Where do we want to start?
No, he's actually Lucky the Leprechaun. Hey!
I mean, you know what? Let's just go to the statement because I can't. I'm so pissed off by this. And you know what? I'll give Rob Manfred credit. Yes, I'm saying I'm giving Rob Manfred credit on one front, but then there's another front where he should have kept his mouth shut.
Mark that down. We're giving him credit.
Well, let me say this. Let's give credit in this perspective. The right move was made. About time. Finally, the right move was made, and they acted on it, and now Mickey Callaway is gone from baseball, at least for the rest of this year and the rest of next year. And when he comes back, he's without a job because the Angels let him go as their pitching coach.
But that's part of my problem here.
But
how do you let him go? How do you say through the 2022 season it's sexual assault? Get rid of the man so he doesn't get back in Major League Baseball forever.
I would say, but two things. Number one, I mean, this is kind of juxtapositions with Roberto Alomar's situation, which we'll get into in a little bit. But also the fact that this took, what you said before, Nick, that this took months, an investigation. You would think with the investigation of somebody, who is in baseball right now, an investigation would take, a week, 2, a month at most. This took several months.
This came out last year, at the beginning of last year, and it took them until now to finally say, oh, yeah, he violated. And the quote that apparently came out that really grinds my gears. No one's going to get that reference except people who watch Family Guy. But Callaway violated MLB's policies. Gee, I only have one way to really describe this.
You can knock them for being vague is what you can do. You can come out and say what he violated.
Right. That's number one. And number two, can you explain why Major League Baseball? Can you explain why this took so long? What made the investigation go this many months?
You know why it took so long? It's like what Nick says for the NFL or the NBA. It's all about keeping the bottom line clean. That's it. That's all it is.
Are you insinuating they tried to sweep this under the rug?
Of course they did.
They would have liked to.
No, it's not. If they wanted to, they did. Of course they did. And look at the Alomar situation. This happened in 2014, and we're first finding out about it now. So Major League Baseball is so good at hiding things under the rug that they'll just keep sweeping and sweeping and sweeping. The problem is they're going to hit the dust bunny at one point once they get to sweeping.
You do have a point, though, that I don't think they would have fired him if nobody had found out.
I agree.
It's the kind of, shh, if we don't tell anybody, then no one else will know. But
yeah, it's a Zen riddle. If I didn't say it, it didn't happen.
And when we were doing our pre-show meetings, I had forgotten that the Angels had suspended him basically indefinitely. And you know what's funny when you say that? You guys just made that point. And if this stuff never came out, or if this investigation got swept under the rug, by the second half of the season, or at the very most 2022 season, Mickey Callaway would be back.
Can we make one other interesting comparison here, which is Pete Rose, who got banned for life for gambling. And the other issue is Major League Baseball is in bed with the gambling companies now, making all these parlays and bets. And
so
if you look
essentially what he did is now legal.
Right. So he got banned for life. But Mickey Callaway, who has allegedly committed sexually assault, is only going to be banned for 2 seasons at most.
Right. So here's the thing about the Pete Rose thing. Yes, the circumstances on gambling and sports have changed quite a bit now. But there is still, in terms of what he did, a player or coach being involved in the betting, that's still a major ethical concern.
That's still a major ethical concern.
But to your point, the fact that there is a potential, a heinous action like an alleged sexual assault or sexual misconduct being, less on the scale than that, that's where the problem comes in.
And when you're actively harming people, harming women,
exactly. There you go.
And you know what? I was having arguments with people. Like, people were putting this up there with the Astros cheating scandal and the Pete Rose with the gambling and the Black Sox scandal.
But that's all on the field measures. This is more than the game. This situation goes beyond the game of baseball.
So then he should have been banned right off the bat. This is physical violence.
And I can see it now. Once he comes back in 2022, I got a feeling he'll be back because I can see the redemption tour now. He'll have a full cut. He'll go to rehab or stick his head in the sand for about a year and a half, and then he'll come back in 2023 thereabouts with a big Sports Illustrated cover saying, "I'm sorry, I screwed up. I did not mean to do those things that I'd never actually admitted to doing."
We knew that was going to happen, but by the way, he's going to come back with the Mets in 2023. I'm just going to call that right now.
Oh, my God.
But because that's what happens. Usually it's the team that gave you the shot is the one that brings you back. But I want to read something off.
But then why did Alex Cora come back with the Tigers?
Alex Cora's was not sexual assault.
Alex Cora came back with the Red Sox. And what's his name? Hinch came back with the...
Hinch came back with the
Tigers.
And again...
Okay, but my question, why did Hinch come back with the...
Because cheating is different than physical abuse and sexual assault.
Yes, it absolutely is. But perhaps I'm being too cynical. Well, in thinking that he'll make his grand comeback.
No, he's going to make a comeback.
Thinking about it, let's face it. It's the Mets, and the Mets have been involved in a number of controversies from Mickey Callaway to their HR department.
By the way, Nick, I think we need to do another Mitchell report on Major League Baseball. Not for drugs, but for sexual assault and physical abuse.
Yes, absolutely. Because if anything, like I said when the story broke a couple of months ago, this is more of an indictment on the Angels and the Mets for how did you not know this?
And by the way, I have to blame the Angels in some aspect because of the way they handled some of this on social media as well. Basically saying that Poor K. I don't know.
But how could you? But why would you blame them in some aspects? They shoulder a lot of the blame
Because it's not.
This was an open secret for years. How did you not know?
Well,
Because
again,
it's not 100% fair to blame it on the organization. It's Mickey Callaway's personal issue.
Not entirely, but they do deserve some blame.
Right.
Well, the Mets also deserve a lot of the blame,
and the Indians. Yeah.
Well, not just that, but like, look, we're going back to the topic of him coming back, maybe with the Mets. I mean, again, look at the Mets' history and just the utter disasters they've had as of late, from Mickey Callaway to Carlos Beltran with the cheating scandal at the Astros to Jared Porter,
yeah.
And their HR department. I think that was earlier this year with the HR story. The Mets are just an absolute mess, and I think with this Mickey Callaway story, it just further damns Sandy Alderson.
Sandy should not have a job anymore in the organization. He's proven that he can't run an organization from the top down with all the investigations going on within his organization.
Mostly what he's generated is bad headlines.
But
definitely.
I want to read something from
at least as of recently.
I want to read something from the statement, because we were talking about how this was being handled. And one statement that stood out from me, actually, I'll start from the top, because remember how I said I? It's like the Ozzy Osbourne song at the beginning, where you I. That's what it sounds like.
Train.
So, Commissioner Robert D. Manfred Jr. Now, by the way, it's an official statement when they say Robert D. Manfred Jr.
He's got his official pants on.
So, Commissioner Robert D. Manfred Jr. announced today that Mickey Callaway, this was on what? This was on the 26th, so this was on Wednesday, that he was placed on the ineligible list. Mickey Callaway was placed on the ineligible list following the completion of Major League Baseball's investigation. Commissioner Manfred issued the following statement regarding the discipline. My office has completed its investigation into allegations of sexual harassment by Mickey Callaway. Having reviewed all of the available evidence, I have concluded that Mr. Callaway violated MLB policies and that placement on the ineligible list is warranted. Okay, my and I were used in that
It goes back to what you said a couple of weeks ago. Whenever he wants to take credit, it's my and I. Whenever he doesn't want to take credit, it's Major League Baseball.
It's Major League Baseball, and if anything, I and me using that so much kind of implies that he's kind of responsible for this taking this long. And
I was going to say, this is something he shouldn't take responsibility for.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to read something else. And Nick, you would consider this the carbon copy statement that leagues put out when they just want to make a generic statement? So the clubs that employed Mr. Callaway each fully cooperated with DOI, including providing emails and assisting with identifying key witnesses. Harassment has no place within Major League Baseball, and we are committed to providing an appropriate work environment for all those involved in our game. Nick, that's a generic statement if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, something tells me that you guys have a pretty cozy spot for workplace harassment here in the league.
And there's one more thing. Now, Nick, this is the statement that Rob put his foot in his mouth, okay? Placement on the ineligible list is immediate and will continue at minimum until the end of the 2022 championship season. Now, here's the kicker. When Mr. Callaway will be eligible to apply for potential reinstatement.
Telling you, man, that SI cover, I can see it now.
All right, let's move on to the other top story of the week, which we have determined to be this. So, gentlemen, how would you feel if you were in a phone call and then all of a sudden you found out, oh, by the way, you were live on national television?
You know
that has actually happened to me, and I can't say I felt like I wanted to find the nearest black hole and then fly right into it.
You know what I would say? I would say it's Undisputed.
Well, it turns out it was on the show Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. And it involves one Julio Jones. So Julio Jones, if you don't know the situation, so the Falcons are kind of a mess. They have had quite the downfall.
Kind of?
They have had quite the downfall since 28-3. So So basically, the Falcons are not in a competitive state anymore. They're going through some money issues, although the cap space in the salary cap for the NFL is projected to be $30 million more this coming season than last season. So, but either way, there's all this talk about Julio Jones, where maybe he wants to be traded, or the team will try to trade him to lower the cap issues and such. So a report actually came out last week, if you guys remember. We briefly talked about at the end that Julio Jones wants to possibly go over to New England and play with Cam Newton. So Shannon Sharp had quite the idea. He thought it was an excellent idea, and
You mean the one that's going to get the whole network sued for privacy issues?
And that was to call Julio Jones on the phone, and no one. Okay, so when you see the footage, nobody can. Nobody says that he's live. I think Skip tried to say, oh, you're live on Undisputed.
Come on, you're telling me Skip is going to play by the rules? Come on.
I just said it seemed.
No, but I'm saying that's like saying that I'm not going to make ridiculous puns during an episode. I mean, come on.
It's a statistical impossibility.
Okay, but he goes on. But they call him, and Shannon asks him something about the Falcons and Atlanta, and basically Julio Jones says, "I'm out of there." Now, keep in mind, they have not told him that he is live on Undisputed. It seems on the surface that this is just a phone call where he believes it is a one-on-one conversation.
I think California is 2 consent, isn't it?
Yes, it is 2-party consent.
So they totally broke the law. And from what I heard from the reports yesterday, the NFL might restrict the Falcons from doing any more interviews. They actually have the right to do that, to stop teams from doing interviews on shows.
Well, first of all, is Undisputed in California?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was California or New York, because in New York it's only one party.
No,
consent.
they are absolutely in Los Angeles.
Okay, so that's 2-party consent. So that's one issue up front. The other issue up front, which is kind of minor because of the circumstances of sports, these days, but that is also a bit of a what do you call it? What's that word, Nick, that we talk about all the time about potential trades and free agency signings?
Rumors?
Something called tampering.
Oh, tampering, my favorite word.
That old chestnut.
I think this would fall right under tampering issues.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if it's really tampering because, like we said, like Nick has said, if the players say it, how is it tampering?
He could say he was just off the cuff. He could just be expressing his opinion.
Right.
Okay, fair.
If ownership or executives did it.
Okay, but fair. But the Falcons have reportedly been in talks with teams. Now, some of their demands, like a first-round pick, I think are a little bit insane for a 32-year.
There's teams already confirmed to have offered it, apparently.
Oh, but again, my point is, when there's active trade talks, you don't want a story like this coming out.
It didn't stop the Rockets from trading James Harden, did it?
Okay, but still, regardless,
this is the NFL.
Okay, but regardless, Shannon Sharp and Fox Sports are in a bit of trouble here.
Right, but that's not on Julio Jones and it's going to be on the Falcons. It's not on Julio Jones. It's on.
Okay.
It's on. Fox.
Okay, but the Falcons could sue in this situation. I think.
No, it's the Falcons could technically be at fault also because they should have known.
No, not necessarily.
But it seemed like on the.
You're not going to monitor the guy's phone calls.
Okay, but it seems like on the situation that he doesn't know that he was being told he was live.
No, the reason I say it's partially on the Falcons is because you have to get media cleared through your team to go on show.
He thought it was just a casual conversation between himself and
that's the problem here.
But do you remember the story I told you though that apparently the Falcons posted it on social media and now we can't find it?
This is a mess.
That's interesting. That's the rub. But as somebody who was in live production, I do need to ask, even though radio and TV are different beasts, why didn't he have a call screener? What the hell? Why didn't he have a producer in his ear? Why didn't Shannon have a producer in his ear saying, "Stop Stop.
He does. He does. He absolutely does. It's the same thing. What the guys are referring to is when I worked in radio, we always were in the host's ears saying, like, here, this person's on, this person. Don't say. I had to do this a million times where I had to tell hosts, do not breach the topic or I'm going to cut you off. And I've had to do it multiple times. So it does happen. He absolutely is wearing an earpiece, whether it's wireless or not. He's wearing one. And I'm sure someone is saying to him, don't do this. You're going to get us sued.
Oh, please stop.
Maybe they won't get sued. Maybe this thing will be all swept under the rug. But I feel damned. Sharp should be damned. Fox Sports should be damned, and even the Falcons. If what you're telling me is true, Falcons should be damned as well.
And the NFL, they are in a situation where they could say, "Hey, those primetime NFL games the Falcons might be in?
Yeah,
done. See ya."
And if Roger wanted to make a statement there, he could absolutely do that in this case.
Well, the problem is he'll only find the team 2 game checks, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
Right.
Where's friggin' Mills Lane when you need him?
All right.
God.
So, which NBA story should we talk about first? Should we talk about the Sixers and the Knicks having the little situations not involving the games on the court? Or should we talk about the Kristaps Porzingis situation? Either way, especially at the Porzingis, I could see Mr. Morgeson exploding. So I'm going to let Mr. Morgeson have the choice on what he wants to explode on first.
Let's talk about the fans first, because I need to build my way up to the other one.
Okay. So the 76ers and Knicks both have had situations this week in which they have had to put out statements. Now, it is not involving any members of their own teams.
No, why would it be that?
It's not about any members of their own teams. It's not a matter of the play on the court. It's a matter of actions from the fans to, in the case of both the Knicks and the Sixers, opposing team players. And actually, Mr. Morgeson informed me earlier before our show that a situation involving the Jazz was fans of the home team going after the parents of an opposing team player.
Well,
so we've got quite a mess. We have had quite a mess with the NBA and its fans of late.
So in terms of what happened with the Knicks, Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks, 21 years old. He's a phenom, even though he does kind of look weird with the kind of sort of unibrow, but still great player. And he was spit on by a Knicks season ticket holder.
By the way,
that's not good.
If you're making fun of the unibrow, you're making fun of Anthony Davis, by the way, also. But
Anthony Davis makes fun of it.
Hey, his whole brand is around the unibrow.
He is the unibrow.
Right. So what Nick is referring to is Trae Young got spat on. I think it was on an inbounds pass, actually. Mm-hmm. And I think after the game, they asked Trae Young if he wanted to press charges. Him being the mature one in the situation said, "I'm not pressing charges." And I think Madison Square Garden ended up banning that fan indefinitely.
Yes.
So,
and in the case of the 76ers, Russell Westbrook was being helped out basically after he was leaving the game with a potential injury. And you had a 76ers fan throw popcorn at him.
That was the lowest of the lowest jackassery I've ever seen happen during a game.
It's Philly.
I was just going to say, welcome to Philadelphia.
Well, wait a minute. Is this worse than the Auburn Hills incident?
Well, batteries at Santa?
No, I'm talking about
the Malice at the Palace?
The Malice at the Palace.
Oh, well,
No. I mean, the Malice at the Palace, was a whole situation of its own. And
there were beers flying in that place.
and what's it called? Going on to the Knicks and Trae Young. And everyone because Trae Young, of course, everyone's saying that Trae Young is living in Knicks fans' heads and rent-free, living in the Knicks fans rent-free. Someone compared Trae Young to Reggie Miller. I think that's a little too much. I mean, Reggie Miller was a bit of a jackass on the court during some of those interactions.
Trae Young, Reggie Miller? Wait a minute. Wait. I mean, Reggie Miller was a little bit of a dirty player, but he played up to his name for sure. He was a great player.
But my point, I didn't say he wasn't great. I was saying he had a little bit of a dirty situation. But like you said, Trae Young, this is a circumstance in which, this is a young man, a mature young man, no problems on or off the court, who is just playing extremely freaking well.
And you know what?
Yes.
This is Knick fans crying out for help because, like as Nick said, the last time he saw a championship was when he was in diapers. So
I didn't even see it. I was 3 years old when they went to the finals in '94. 8 when they went to the finals in '99.
See, you know what? This is so crazy because we've had so many incidents at MSG, whether it's with Charles Oakley or whether it's with fans. Like it seems like
actually, and at that point, maybe we unban Charles Oakley.
Well, yeah, that'd be nice.
I think he might deserve it. But to be honest with you, folks, and to the two of you, gentlemen, I do believe in the sanctity of the Garden crowd. I do love the Garden crowd, and I do feel like the electric atmosphere, they were building on it. They were feeding on it.
Well, I think this problem isn't exact. Well, I was going to condemn Madison Square Garden fans all you want, but this, I think, goes a little bit beyond Madison Square Garden. I think we have a problem in the NBA fan base because this is not just related to Madison Square Garden. 76ers, Jazz, is it the Jazz? Jazz fans coming after the parents of John Morant?
Yeah, I mean, what we're talking about here is, and I'm tired of all these excuses that these networks are making that, well, the fans haven't been allowed in the arenas for...
Doesn't matter. You still don't do that.
Right, and that's
There's still a line.
And I'm like, I'll say it because I don't care. Shut up, Stephen A., the one who made the statement on First Take. I'm tired of people saying that, oh, the fans are just happy to be back. Really? Why don't you just act like you're happy to be back?
It doesn't matter if it's a crowd of 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000. These are actions you do not do.
These are actions you do not take.
And by the way, MSG was filled. Like, it was full to the brim, I think, almost.
Yes, it absolutely was. And the Garden fans are crazy.
Right.
It's been almost 40 years, and Dennis Pot fan still sucks.
And again, to your point about, all the fans are back, and maybe if you, had the fans back sooner. Well, first of all, it's great to see the fans back. It's great to see us make progress that we're almost near normalcy. But the problem, what?
Behave.
But behave. And to use the, the pandemic and we've been without crowds for a long time, that is making an excuse and to some stretch making a condemning political excuse for actions that are absolutely abhorrent and unnecessary.
And that's my point. And by the way, it looks like the Bucks are about to sweep the Miami Heat. So it looks like that's
what a fall for the freaking Heat from.
So it looks like that series is basically over. I mean, the Sixers series is almost over. We'll get back since we're talking about the Sixers. Russell Westbrook came out and made a statement. I don't remember the full statement, but he came out in a press conference after the game and said they wouldn't do that to me on the street because they know what would happen if they did that to me on the street. And he's right. He's absolutely right. If someone did that to him on the street, it's all out.
Yeah.
It's fair game on the street. So if you hit him, he's going to beat the crap out of you. And I would say it's warranted.
All right, Nick Morrison, it's time. I hope you've worked yourself up a little bit. It's time. I'm going to let you have the floor.
When I saw this headline, after dealing with all the debauchery that we dealt with the Lakers and LeBron James, where the NBA and my favorite NBA recipient, Mike Bass, who's protecting the NBA because Adam Silver can't get out of his own way, just like Roger Goodell, who sits on his chair eating bonbons and does nothing to run the league. So I see this. Kristaps Porzingis fined $50,000 for breaking NBA COVID-19 protocols for being in a club. And I said, okay, he's probably fully vaccinated, I would assume, right? Because they're in the playoffs. I'm assuming they're... So they fined him $50,000, but LeBron holds an event for his own tequila brand, and they basically come out and say, well, it wasn't dangerous, so we did nothing to him. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Really? This is stereotypical NBA favoritism if I haven't seen it.
Because Kristaps Porzingis wasn't meeting with his shareholders, you see.
Because he wasn't meeting with Michael B. Jordan or Drake or any
Who
big
were
name
both at the
celebrity.
game? Who were both at the Laker game, by the way. I'm so sick and tired of it.
Because Kristaps Porzingis isn't the face of the league.
I don't give a shit.
Because Kristaps Porzingis, the Mavericks series and how they do in the playoffs doesn't mean as much as what the Lakers and LeBron do.
I mean, he's playing on the Mavericks. Do you really? I mean, their line of logic is he's playing on the Mavs. Who cares?
By the way, they're about to beat the Clippers. It seems like I think they're up 2-1 in the series.
But my point, maybe you could say, oh, the NBA breaking COVID. An NBA player breaking COVID protocols and not being suspended. But LeBron didn't even get fined. He didn't even get fined. And if he did, because because of all the statements of how they handle the situation internally, why don't you just come out and say it?
Not a stern talking to, not a fine,
not a slap on the wrist.
Where is the transparency?
There is no transparency. We're talking about the NBA. We're talking about nothing but assholes. Okay, I've made that statement a long time ago, and it's true.
And I've been clear on my disagreement with your LeBron James. Let's call it haterade chugging. And
haterade, yeah.
But yeah, in this case, it's definitely a double standard.
I mean, LeBron. Why don't we just call him the NBA commissioner because he just wants to do everything that Adam Silver doesn't want to.
We have been doing that.
Do we not say that he is the player? He's a player. He is the coach of the team he's on. He's the general manager of the team he's on.
I take that back. He's now officially the commissioner of the NBA. It's no longer Adam Silver. Adam Silver's going to go on the court and take LeBron's place and play the game instead.
LeBron James lives rent-free in Adam Silver's head.
There we go. That's good. I like that. By the way, that might be our statement, a quote for next.
I wouldn't blame you. Oh, and if you really want to rant on LeBron, here's a statement rather. I'll give you a statement. The fact that LeBron thinks the vaccine thing is a private matter. The fact that LeBron thinks, it's not so much a big deal. This whole situation where he's being favoritized and the NBA is just sitting there twiddling their thumbs when the NBA has handled, and Nick Federo, you said this last week, they have handled the COVID situation quite possibly the worst.
No, when it comes not quite possibly the worst. It is the worst. I'm saying it now. The NBA has no idea how to handle COVID-19 if it bit them in their ass.
Because let's see. The NFL, well, yeah, they had to travel to stadiums and stuff, but that's once a week. The NHL had their divisions. Major League Baseball, you play a series of games in certain areas. And Major League Baseball enacted to get everybody vaccinated. Maybe it's the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but the point being, let's see, with the NBA, you opened in home arenas in the middle of the second wave, national wave, where we were at all-time highs. You tried to you were looking into jumping the line of head of doctors, nurses, fire, police, EMTs, all the first responders who have been working tirelessly during this pandemic. The LeBron situation last week, the NBA is an absolute mess. And by the way, LeBron, you talk about not caring about the vaccine, and then it seems like whenever a championship or money issues come up, all of a sudden, you usually take a stand on things, but when stuff like that comes up, you back down. Hey, LeBron James, look in the mirror. You're becoming elements of what you hate.
Exactly.
You have become Michael Jordan.
Oh, wow. Did not expect that. Okay. The thing I would say about LeBron to make this whole situation come to a close would be LeBron should be suspended, like I said, for the rest of the playoffs. I think we should take his championship rings away also, because, by the way, he hasn't won any by himself to begin with, so it doesn't really matter.
I wasn't going to go that far, but...
I wasn't going to... Come on. Hey, whoa.
LeBron hasn't won one championship by himself. Can we stop praising him as the king of
Nobody wins championships by
themselves. Let me clarify something. LeBron James tried to win a championship by himself when he carried that Cleveland team in 2018. And look what happened. That Cleveland team got spanked by the Warriors.
Well, he did win one with Cleveland, but
he had Kyrie. I'll give you that credit. He had Kyrie, and
if it wasn't for Kyrie Irving hitting that shot against the Warriors, they wouldn't have won.
All right, quit chugging the haterade here. You made.
I'm not. You know what, Nick? I don't care because LeBron is the most self-absorbent
haterade.
He's
haterade.
You can say all you want. I don't give a shit because
haterade.
Empty the Bench. Empty the Bench is sponsored by Haterade. It's in you.
Thanks. My point is that LeBron doesn't deserve anything that he's made in life whatsoever.
Next topic. We're done here. We're moving to the next topic. We have more to get through, gentlemen. Are you done?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Let's talk about fans again.
Okay, so Jordan Yamamoto, if you don't know, is a relief pitcher for the Mets, and he had himself a bad outing. I think it was a laugher anyway, wasn't it? When he came in,
5 earned runs.
5 earned runs, and Jordan Yamamoto's wife, who is actually on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was getting a lot of invective and abuse from Mets fans, as if Jordan Yamamoto's wife was the one who was actually out there pitching and not Jordan Yamamoto. So he comes back the next day and puts out a statement that says, "Do not abuse my wife like that." I'm paraphrasing here, of course, but do not abuse my wife like that. We're all fans here. Don't act like that. And
I will say,
yeah,
because I've had an experience with Twitter this week. People in the sports world, and especially the fans, they are some of the most. They can be some of the most cruel people on earth, especially when they're talking tough behind the keyboard.
Yeah.
Or they're talking tough behind the egg symbol that they have on their picture most of the time.
We've had that experience with Mets fans on Twitter.
By the way, I have the statement if you want to hear part of it.
Yeah, you can read some of it if you can.
So he said, "I will address this once and once only. I know Twitter is sometimes not a very nice place. Gee, you think?"
Just stated.
And to some of you, it may seem fun to troll people, but you don't go and harass my wife. She isn't the one playing the game, nor wearing the uniform. If you should be trolling anyone, it should be me. Tag me and comment on my post. It is my fault and my fault alone. I gave up those 5 runs. My own errors and lack of focus got away from me that inning. So don't go and harass her because I understand as a professional athlete, that comes with the territory, blah, blah, blah. So basically, this is the blessing and the curse of being married or being in a relationship with an athlete. You put up with the goods and the bads of being with an athlete.
And his wife, Madison, of course, and she hasn't put up, but I give her all the credit in the world for having to put up with that. I feel bad. I really do.
And Jordan is more than a ball player. Jordan's a very good man for doing what he did.
By the way, Mets fans, and I never expected this from Mets fans. Usually the Yankee fans are the ones that are garbage and treat everybody horribly.
And we're Yankee fans saying that.
And we're Yankee fans saying that.
And by the way, it reminds me of an incident that happened between the Yankees and the Phillies with Cliff Lee's wife.
Yeah, back in 2010. I remember.
I think there was some spitting and throwing involved.
Yep.
But
again, going back to the NBA situation and going back to this, there are lines you do not cross as fans.
Exactly. And that's, well, and like you said, if you're going to be a Twitter tough guy or a Twitter tough woman, you're better off saying it to their face. Actually, you won't say it to their face.
I dare you to say it to their face.
If you say it to their face, they're going to sock you in the face. Let me say that one more time. If you say it to their face, they're going to sock you in the face.
And gentlemen, we have talked about this. Well, we made alluded to it before, but Bear's saying that Roberto Alomar is facing a third sexual misconduct allegation from 2014 now.
Let's clarify one thing. So apparently this incident was all the way back to 2014, right? So I just don't know where to go with this. Now, if it's been confirmed, and from the report that you put up, Tom, it says a 24-year-old woman says that in 2014, when she was an 18-year-old volunteer at a kids' baseball camp run by the Blue Jays, Roberto Alomar rubbed his body against hers without her consent and propositioned her for sex.
I know where you're going with this about that we don't know because it's been 7 years, but it goes back to what we were saying before. But if Roberto Alomar is ineligible, why is Mickey Callaway only ineligible through 2022 and not indefinitely like Roberto Alomar?
Because he's not coaching.
But still, he was a consultant for the Blue Jays. He did that, well, not anymore, but he was doing this on the Blue Jays time and dime. So,
well, of course he was. Now, I'm not condoning or saying anything about this because we don't know. If he did it, then he deserves to get every punishment.
But again, why? But again, look at the Callaway situation. Look at this. MLB being very picky and choosy with their situation.
I told you
what they want to do. I guarantee you they knew about it back in 2014.
If not careful, like I said earlier, they're going to dust so much of it under the rug that a dust bunny's going to come out and eat them at this point.
That would be a sight to see.
They are in. I'm going to quote another Family Guy episode. They are in the closet so much that they're finding Christmas presents.
Agreed, absolutely. And
oh god,
I don't know what to do if this is all true. Now I'm going to say the same thing I said about Mickey Callaway. If this is all true and they have the evidence to prove it, he needs to be banned for life.
That's the thing. But that's the thing. Roberto Alomar is indefinitely on the ineligible list.
No.
Yeah, Major League Baseball doesn't have a sexual assault problem.
Yeah. No. They don't have. Just like the NFL doesn't have a problem with sexual assault and abuse issues either.
Oh,
and the NBA doesn't have a COVID problem. No.
Oh, of course not. What slander? What calumny? Why would you do such a thing?
The NBA doesn't have
wild accusations around here.
The NBA. I was going to say the NBA doesn't have a privilege problem either.
Oof. I'm just going to move on now to. Let's go to a light story. Phil Mickelson becomes the oldest golfer alive to win a PGA championship. So,
you know what? I'm actually happy for him that he won.
I am very happy for him.
I am too. If anything, it proves that age is just a number.
Well, think about this, guys. In the last 3 years, we've seen Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson each win a major past their prime. That's kind of freaking cool.
Yeah, but a golf prime and is not comparable to other major sports primes.
But Phil Mickelson's case, he's 50.
Not exactly that the physical machinery is in the shape that it used to be, but still, this is a major achievement.
The one argument, and I've made this many times, you can play golf until you're 75 years old if you really wanted to.
If you take care of your body right.
But I'm saying, come on, we've seen some. Look at who was it? I can't remember his name. The one who doesn't take being in shape that well. I can't remember his name. Who won 3 out of the last 4 U.S. Opens or whatever. I can't remember his name at the moment.
But my point, sometimes if you don't take care of your body, yes, you can play golf till you're 75, but maybe for some people their limit is 65. Some people their limit is 85.
True.
Still, to be able to do this at a professional level,
right?
And golf is objectively, it's a lot more difficult than people think it is.
And being able to hang up there with Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth,
Brooks Koepka. That's the name.
Brooks Koepka. All right. So let's get to the other part of the story then. So we're gonna have another edition of the match. It's going to be Phil Mickelson teaming up with Tom Brady to take on Peyton Manning and Bryson DeChambeau.
Can we stop with Tom Brady? Like, I'm getting tired of Tom Brady getting all the spotlight.
It's Brady versus Manning once again. This time on a golf course.
Hey, let's get Jordan versus Reggie Miller.
Oh God.
God.
You mean how about let's get Reggie Miller versus Patrick Ewing?
You know what? Let's get the 1988 Pistons against the 1980s Boston Celtics. That would be a good. That would be. You know what? Just have them fist fight.
By the way,
fist fight.
I need to make one correction. By the way,
Okay.
Tom, it's actually Aaron Rodgers, not Peyton Manning.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just wanted to make one correction.
But still, in cases like this, I mean, why are you just now tired of Tom Brady? Of course, he's going to be everywhere.
Because Tom Brady gets attention. There we go.
Okay.
There we are.
Okay, but actually, this is actually more interesting because we got Aaron Rodgers, doing this in the middle of a situation in which, is he going to be Green Bay's quarterback? Is he not?
Well, why do you think they did it? They did that on purpose, knowing that Aaron Rodgers was in the spotlight.
Quick, Tom, take this club and bash me as hard as you can in the knees. I don't want to play.
By the way, what's next? Are we going to have Deshaun Watson versus I don't know, Tim Tebow?
I'm gonna go with on the idea that Nick was going off of, and I got one. Let's have the 1990s Yankees and the 1990s Braves players on a little battle royal of sorts.
Ooh.
Maybe. That'd be interesting, actually.
Wow.
All right. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers,
this was one of the greatest interviews I've ever seen on SportsCenter. I'm telling you.
I mean, I love the way that it ended. Aaron Rodgers, where basically Kenny Mayne was like, by the way, I invested in cryptocurrency and all my money.
It's down 40%. F you!
And he walks off. And that was the last that we have seen of Kenny Mayne on SportsCenter because, of course, Kenny Mayne was let go earlier this month because of more cuts across ESPN.
Well, it's not that he was let go. He was offered a pay cut, and then he walked away.
Yeah, but a 60% pay cut or something ridiculous like that.
And
which is disrespectful to Kenny Mayne, by the way.
For children of 90s sports centers, of which, I am one, where basically Stuart Scott and Rich Eisen woke me up in the mornings to get me to school, it kind of sucks.
Kenny Mayne, Dan Patrick, the heyday.
I mean, yeah, there's not much left. I mean, there's basically...
I was going to say, like, when your interview with Mariotti, because Mariotti even implied that the one good person, well, I didn't say good, but the one old school guy, which the connection between the old SportsCenter and the SportsCenter of now is SVP.
Well, I would say a few guys. There's SVP, there's Butchergrass, there's...
But SVP is like the head of that. He is the face of that.
Well, yeah, because he's the only $1 million guy, I'm assuming, that's doing SportsCenter right now.
And I'm afraid when his contract comes up next time, they're going to let SVP go.
They're not going to let him go. That's one. SVP, Stephen A., those guys are going to...
They better not let SVP go. I love SVP.
Just so you know, Stephen A. is in the $10 million range. I'm just...
I know.
Nick, you're giving him ideas. Stop giving him ideas.
Oh, okay.
And in terms of what about his next move is, well, Aaron Rodgers was basically,
I'm here so I don't get fined.
Right. Very vague. No answers as to what's going on with his future in Green Bay because, of course, not.
Hey, did he talk to Marshawn to get that line? Because that was clever, by the way.
All right, one last story here for this week. Speaking of ESPN, Paul Pierce. Well, it's kind of sad because if you want to go to the tweet of reference, I mean, it's kind of been deleted off of Twitter.
I shared it with you guys. I gave it to you. Do you remember?
Yeah, but it got deleted. Pierce deleted it.
No, I put it in our Facebook chat. It's there.
Okay, no, that's not my point.
Oh.
My point is if anybody wants to see it now, well, kind of out of luck on that one.
You're kind of out of luck in those things.
My favorite part of this tweet, by the way, is it says, at ESPN, I don't need you. That's what I'm reading. Yep. I got Ethereum. I made more money with this crypto in the past month than I did with y'all in a year. Truth shall set you free. Be my own boss.
I was gonna say it was those tongue, the wink with the tongue sticking out, 2 emojis of that.
So he's basically coming out to tell us that he's invested most of his money in Buttcoin. Is that what you're saying?
I would like to make an announcement, by the way. We are making our own cryptocurrency, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait, we are?
Yes.
It's Benchcoin.
Benchcoin.
Damn it, you stole my idea. Ugh.
It doesn't do anything, but can actually buy you property on the Short Line Railroad.
Benchcoin. It'll buy you Boardwalk for $400.
Yeah, but nobody actually. Thimble's not included. Nobody likes the thimble.
It'll also Benchcoin will also get out of jail free cards,
which is actually really good if you've actually ever been convicted of any white collar crimes or. Well, I'm just saying, if Pennybags comes a knocking, just answer the door.
You know what? I'm gonna make Goodell coin.
Goodell. What about Manfred coin?
God,
don't say that.
Oh God! Don't give my ideas.
I love. Oh, by the way, if you were listening to the Yankees-Tigers game, and they had the other day they were talking about the extra man rule, the one that we were talking about before the show that you hate, Nick. Somebody, I don't know what announcer it was on. It wasn't one of the Yankees or Tigers. It was on another
network,
another team, another network. Yeah, they have a new name for it. It's always the extra man or the auto man. Somebody calls it the Manfred man.
Yes. He's wrapped up like a douche.
I wish we could end the show with just that song playing in the background, but we have our own theme song to worry about. Yep. All right.
This has been a weird episode. That's all I can say. We didn't even get to the Deshaun news. We could have gotten to that too.
Twitch.tv/ETV Sports. Make sure to follow us all across our social medias. And with that, for Nick Morgeson and Nick Federa, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody!
Good night.